All right, engineers, let's get started. Are you tired of that endless cycle of copy-pasting screens and manually updating tags? Well, you're in for a treat. Today, we're going to roll up our sleeves for a hands-on lab inside Factory Talk Optics. We are going to build some seriously powerful, reusable components and give them some brains with C-sharp logic. Let's dive in.
So, here's the game plan. First, we'll cover the why. Why modern HMI development is such a game changer. Then we get to the fun part. We'll build the visual component, the faceplate. After that, we'll add the C-sharp scripting to make it smart. Then we'll wire it all together, and finally, we'll wrap up with the key takeaways you can start using on your own projects, like tomorrow.
Okay, so let's set the stage. We've all been there, right? That sinking feeling when you realize you have to update the same graphic on 50 different screens. It's tedious, it's slow, and honestly, it's just asking for mistakes. Well, modern platforms like OPTIX were literally designed to make that whole problem disappear. And this really lays out the huge difference. On the left, you've got the old way, static screens, tied directly to tags. But look at the right. Factory Talk Optics isn't just an HMI tool, it's a software development environment. We're talking object-oriented design, built-in Git for version control, and the full power of C#. It's a completely different way of thinking that makes your work so much faster and way more scalable.
All right, let's start building. First up, we're going to create the visual foundation of our smart object. Think of this as building the body of our component. This is the part we're going to design once and then reuse all over the place. So, the key idea here is something called an object type, which you'll probably know as a faceplate. And the whole concept is incredibly powerful. You define it one time and you can reuse it 1,000 times. If you've ever touched code before, this is exactly like a class in programming. You build the main blueprint, the class, and then you can stamp out as many individual instances as you need. Change the blueprint, and boom, all the instances update automatically.
And getting it done is just these 4 simple steps. First, you create the type, which is basically an empty canvas. Step 2 is where the genius comes in. You add aliases. An alias is just a placeholder. Think of it like an empty electrical socket on your template. In step 3, you design your user interface, but you wire everything up to those empty sockets. Then, finally, in step 4, you drag that template onto a screen, and that's when you plug the real PLC tags, the live wires for Pump 101 or Motor 205, into those sockets.
Perfect. So we've built the body, it looks great, it's reusable, but it's kind of dumb. It doesn't really do anything on its own. Now it's time for the really cool part. We're going to give it a brain using C# and something called net logic. Now, real quick, you should know that OPTIX has 2 flavors of this net logic stuff. There's design time net logic, which is amazing for automating your development work, like, say, importing 1,000 tags from a CSV file. But for what we're doing today, making our component interactive for an operator, we're going to focus completely on runtime net logic. This is the code that's actually running when the HMI is live on the floor.
And here's the rule of thumb I always follow. Don't overcomplicate things. For simple stuff, like making a label show a tag value, just use the built-in dynamic links. But the moment you need to do something more complex, like a sequence of actions when a button is pressed or a special calculation, that's your signal. That's when you reach for NetLogic to unlock all that custom power.
And check this out. This is like a little cookbook of the most common things you'll want to do. And just look at how clean that code is. You want to write to a tag? You grab the variable, you set its value. Done. You want to read a speed? You grab the tag from the project. You can even find a label on the screen and change its text, or tell the main window to navigate to a different page, all from your script. This is your toolkit. Okay, this is the moment we've been building towards. We have our visual component, the body. We have our C# script, the brains. Now it's time to do the final hookup and bring this thing to life.
So the big question you're probably asking right now is, okay, that's great. I wrote a method in this C# file over here. How does the button on my faceplate over there have any idea that it even exists? And the answer, honestly, is almost too simple. It all comes down to this one little piece of text you add to your code, the export method attribute. That's it. That's the magic handshake. As soon as you type that line above your method, you're essentially telling the drag and drop editor, hey, over here, I'm a function you can use. So the whole workflow is this simple. Step 1, you write your C# method, and you put that export method attribute right above it. Step 2, you literally drag your script file from the project tree and drop it onto your component. And step 3, you click the button, go to its events, and what do you know? Your custom method is just sitting there in the drop-down list waiting for you. You select it, and you're done. The link is made.
And just like that, we've done it. In just a few minutes, we've built a truly powerful, smart, reusable HMI object. So let's do a quick-fire recap of the most important concepts and talk about how you can start using this for real.
Okay, let's lock this in. First, start using faceplates. Seriously, it will slash your development time. Second, use aliases to make those faceplates generic, so one template can work for hundreds of different motors or pumps. Third, when the built-in tools aren't enough, C# net logic is your best friend. Fourth, remember that magic handshake, the export method attribute. And finally, don't be afraid to experiment. You can test everything we just did with live data from a PLC using the emulator that comes with the free Studio license. There's zero risk.
So I'm going to leave you with this one question to think about. I want you to picture the project you're working on right now. What's that one screen, that one pop-up, that one thing you've had to copy and paste over and over again? What's the very first repetitive task you could completely wipe out using these tools? Because that is the power that's now in your hands. Thanks for joining me.